Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Muhammad Abu Bakr, and in this video we shall be solving the Cambridge O-Level Chemistry 5070 question paper 11 from the May-June 2022 series, paper 1 of multiple choice questions only. So let's start our video. A scientist needs to add approximately 100 centimeter cube of water to each of the 50 large beakers. The scientist needs to fill the beakers as quickly as possible. Which method should be used? Okay, so he needs to fill these beakers as quickly as he can. A 50 centimeter cube burette should be used twice for each beaker, so it would be a lengthy process. A 100 centimeter cube gas syringe should be used once for each beaker. Now he wants to add 100 centimeter cube of water, so a gas syringe will not work here. A 25 centimeter cube graduated pipette should be used 4 times for each beaker. So this is again a lengthy process. This will take lot of time. Whereas D, a 100 centimeter cube measuring cylinder should be used once for each beaker. D makes sense, and D is your right option. Question number 2. Four mixtures, each containing two substances, are shown in the table. The two substances need to be separated and collected. Which row is correct? Okay. So the mixture 1 is copper sulfate and water, and the separation method is chromatography, which is completely wrong. And the second one is methanol and ethanol, so they can be separated by evaporation. No, they can't be. However, they can be separated on the basis of their boiling point. So A and B are incorrect. Oxygen and nitrogen can be separated by fractional distillation of air. So yes, C is true. Sand and barium sulfate, sand SiO2 and barium sulfate BaSO4 can be separated by filtration. No, they can't. So C is your right option. Two samples of a colorless solution are tested separately with aqueous sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia, and the results are recorded. So a white precipitate is formed with 2 drops of NaOH. This precipitate dissolves in an excess of NaOH. So this is the first one. A white precipitate is formed with 2 drops of aqueous ammonia. This precipitate dissolves in an excess of aqueous ammonia. What can we deduce from these results? So the first thing is that NaOH is used for cations testing. NaOH is used for cations testing. So a white precipitate is formed. That means that it would either be aluminium ions, it could have zinc ions, and it could have calcium ions, and these three dissolve in an excess of NaOH. In the second one, on the addition of aqueous ammonia, aluminum and zinc will form a white precipitate, but calcium won't. So we can rule out calcium, and then this precipitate dissolves in an excess of ammonia. So only zinc dissolves in an excess of ammonia. So the D option, the cation present is zinc 2 positive. D would be your right answer. So question number 4. Which row correctly describes changes in the particles when a substance freezes? So when a substance freezes, energy change in the particles is that particles lose energy. They do not gain energy, otherwise they would have been in a heated state. So A and C are incorrect. Whereas arrangement of the particles become more ordered because their kinetic energy now reduces. Their kinetic energy reduces, their potential energy increases, they become more ordered uh, as the particles lose energy. So B is our right option. Ethylamine gas and HCl gas react together to form a white solid ethylamine HCl. So at which position in the tube would a ring of solid white ethylamine hydrochloride would form? Now the first thing is that both are gases, both are gases. So diffusion will definitely take place. Now diffusion depends upon the temperature and the MR of the substances. Now the MR of ethylamine is 24 and 7 hydrogen, that means 31 and 14 of this nitrogen. So MR of ethylamine is 45, whereas MR of HCl is 36.5. So greater is the MR, lower would be the rate of diffusion. We know this. So that means that ethylamine solution will diffuse less, whereas HCl will diffuse more. So if HCl diffuse more, then the ring would definitely be formed at A, and when ethylamine here comes in contact, it forms a white solid here. So A is true. It would not be option B because both do not have same MR. B is also incorrect. C and D are also incorrect because in because C and D mean that ethylamine has a lower MR, whereas it has greater than HCl. So C and D are also incorrect. A is our right option. Two particles have the symbol ferrous 2 positive and cobalt 3 positive. Which statement about these particles is correct? They contain the same number of electrons. No, a ferrous atom has 26, whereas cobalt has 27, so they do not have same number of electrons. They contain same number of neutrons. Their number of neutrons is also different. They contain the same number of protons. Yes, this ferrous ion loses 2 electrons, so it is left with so it is left with so it is left with 24 electrons and 26 protons, whereas this cobalt atom here, it has an MR of whereas this cobalt atom also has 24 electrons. So sorry, there's been mistake here. They contain the same number of electrons. This would be our right option. They will have same number of electrons, different number of protons and different number of neutrons. So they contain the same number of electrons. Yes, they do, because ferrous ions loses 2 electrons and it is left with 24 electrons. Similarly, cobalt atom is also left with 24 electrons, so they do contain the same number of electrons. So A is your right option. Two isotopes of chlorine are 35Cl and 37Cl. Using these isotopes and carbon 12 and hydrogen 1, how many different relative molecular masses are possible for the compound with molecular formula C2H3Cl3? Now in simple words, we have to find different combinations of chlorine which can be found in this compound here. So this C2H3 is a constant, so we only have to discuss the Cl3. So this Cl3 can be Cl35, Cl35 and Cl35. It could also be chlorine 37, chlorine 37 and chlorine 37. It could also be chlorine 35 and 2 chlorine 37, and it could also be 2 chlorine 35 and 1 chlorine 37. So C 1, 2, 3 and 4, four types of different four types of compound with molecular formula. This is possible, so that means C is our right option. Which statement about the substances at RTP is correct? So W and X conduct electricity. So at RTP. So W is an alloy, so it would, but X won't because X is an ionic compound and it only conducts electricity when in molten state. So first thing is that A is incorrect. W and Y are elements. W is an alloy, so B is also incorrect. X and Z dissolve in water. So X is an ionic compound, so it will definitely dissolve in water, whereas Z is ethanol with OH functional group, so it can also dissolve in water. So yes, C is true. Y and Z have low melting points. No, has a covalent structure, rigid covalent structure, so it will have high melting point. So D is also incorrect. C is your right option. A piece of magnesium reacts with dilute HCl. The resulting solution is then evaporated, leaving a solid residue of MgCl2, magnesium chloride. So which statement is correct? So the reaction is Mg plus HCl to give MgCl2 and hydrogen gas. A covalent solid is formed in this process. No, MgCl2 is ionic in nature. Each chlorine atom gains one electron in this process. No, it does not. Each magnesium atom loses only one electron in this process. No, it loses two electrons. Molecules of an element are formed during the reaction. This is true. Molecules of element hydrogen H2 is formed. So D is our right option. Which dot and cross diagram represents carbon dioxide? So for carbon dioxide, it is carbon double bond, carbon on the both hands. So carbon, so oxygen has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 electrons in its outermost shell. We know this. And carbon has 1, 2, 3, and 4. So carbon has 4, oxygen has 6 in its outermost shell. So this is true. So that means that C is our right option. You can check others as well. They do not satisfy that oxygen has 6 electrons in its outermost shell. Two statements about the structure and properties of metals are given. So metals are malleable and metals have high melting points. So and statement 2 is that metals have mobile electrons in their structure. Now what is correct? Metals are malleable, yes they are, and have high melting points, yes they do have high melting points. Metals have mobile electrons in their structure, this is also true. Both statements are correct, yes they are, and statement 2 explains statement 1. No, malleability is due to the layer of positive ions is present, so statement 2 does not explain statement 1. So that means B is going to be our right option. How many different elements are present in ammonium nitrate? So NH4 taken twice, NO3, so that means nitrogen 1, hydrogen and oxygen. So three kind of elements are present. So B is our right option. Aqueous calcium hydroxide is an alkali. It is neutralized by dilute HNO3 to produce calcium nitrate and water. So what is the ionic equation for this reaction? Now A is not the ionic equation because he has shown only single positive charge on calcium, so definitely A is incorrect. B is the general reaction statement, so B is also incorrect. In C, so there is calcium 2 positive, OH negative 2, 2H positive, HNO3 negative, calcium 2 positive. So he has shown this once again in the ionic state, so in the form of charges which he shouldn't actually have. So C is also incorrect. D is true, that OH negative ions combine with H positive to form H2O on the right hand side. So D is true. D is our right option. The relative MR of liquid Z is 60. Z contains 40% carbon, 6.70% hydrogen, and 53.3% oxygen. Which row shows the correct empirical and molecular formula of Z? Now Z has an MR of 60 So it will not be A because A has lower MR. It would be C2, so 24 plus 4 plus 32. So it could either be B and it could be C, and this is again greater than 60, so D is also incorrect. For the molecular formula is C2H4O2. To find the empirical formula with a simple ratio, so that will be CH2O. B is our right option. How many tons of aluminum oxide are required to produce 27 tons of aluminum? So question number 15, the how many tons of Al2O3 aluminum oxide are required to produce 27 tons of aluminum? Now the reaction which actually take place to produce aluminum oxide is 4 aluminium combined with 3 oxygen molecules to give 2 Al2O3. So this is the actual reaction. Now I can reverse this as well, so I can decompose this. I can decompose Al2O3 to get aluminium here. Now I have here 27 tons of aluminium, so I will find the number of moles of aluminum. The number of moles of aluminum are 27 over the mr is also 27. So if we have 1 mole of if I have 1 mole of aluminium and xyz moles of oxygen, we are not required to find this. It will give us half mole of Al2O3 as per this reaction. So that means if I have 20 27 tons of aluminium, it will give me half mole of Al2O3. So I will have to multiply half with the mr of Al2O3, which is 102 divided by 2, so 51. So 51 tons of aluminum oxide would be produced here. So B is our right option. Lead bromide is electrolyzed using inert electrodes. Which statement is correct? Now a brown gas is seen at the positive electrode. This is true. Why this is true? That bromine loses electrons here to form bromine gas at the positive electrode, the anode. So yes, A is true. Electrons pass through the solution from one electrode to the other. No electrons do not pass. Ions pass through the circuit. Ions move within the solution. The lead ions are oxidized. No, they are reduced. So A is our right option. Compound X is sodium iodide. Compound Y is methyl methanoate. At RTP, 1 is solid in aqueous solution, 2 conducts electricity. So which row correctly describes gaps 1 and gaps 2? So sodium iodide is an ionic compound, so it will definitely conduct electricity. So and it is compound X, so compound X conducts, whereas methyl methanoate is an organic compound which in most cases do not conduct electricity, so only X conducts. I would go with this. And for the existence state at the RTP, X is a solid, is sodium iodide, so it would be ionic in nature. Methyl methanoate is an ester, so it could either be a liquid or a semi-liquid and gas. So only X is a solid at RTP. So D is our right option. So question number 18, for the forward reaction of a reversible reaction, the enthalpy change of reaction is minus 50 kilojoules per mole and the activation energy is 60 kilojoules per mole. What is the activation energy of the reverse reaction? Now first of all I will construct a graph here. To simplify things here, so the progress of reaction, here is the progress of reaction, and this is the enthalpy here. Now it is the energy evolved is minus 50 kilojoules, so it is an exothermic reaction. So reactants here, and then I get products at this energy. So this is the activation energy, which is 60, and this is the change in enthalpy, which is something like 50, which is 50 kilojoules per mole. Now for reverse reaction, I will have to go in this way. For reverse reaction, I will have to go this way. So that will simply be 60, and this negative 50 would convert into plus 50 to give me 110 kilojoules per mole. So D is our right option. The diagram shows a titration experiment. Which row about the reaction in the conical flask is correct? Now the reaction, this is the titration reaction. So suppose I take HCl and I titrate it with NaOH to give me NaCl along with water. So energy would be released here. So it is an exothermic reaction, and when it is exothermic reaction, the change in enthalpy is negative. Remember this. So C is our right option. Sulfur dioxide reacts with oxygen in the air. The reaction is very slow if no catalyst is present. Which statement explains this? So air contains 21% oxygen, so there is not enough oxygen for all the sulfur dioxide to react. This is a completely wrong statement. Doesn't satisfy the concepts. Only a small proportion of sulfur dioxide and oxygen molecules have enough energy to react even at high temperatures. This is true. This makes sense. They do not have sufficient energy at RTP or at high temperatures so that they would react. So B is true. The reaction is exothermic, and so at high temperatures the equilibrium shifts to the left. This is again a false statement. The reaction is reversible, and so the products turn back to reactants. This happens more quickly at high temperatures. The reaction is reversible, products turn back to reactants. This happens more quickly at high temperatures. This is again a wrong statement. This is not an explanation that why sulfur dioxide reacts slowly with uh, oxygen to give sulfur trioxide. So B is right option. Which statement is correct? An enzyme is a biological catalyst. Yes, it is. That decreases the activation energy EA of the reaction. This is true. Enzyme decreases the activation energy and thus is responsible for quick metabolic reactions and metabolic uh, activities within the body. So A is our right option. All other are definitely incorrect. NO2 is a dark brown gas that decomposes as shown in the equation. The diagram shows a glass flask containing a mixture of the three gases. The mixture is pale brown. So more oxygen is forced into the flask. Which color change is seen in the mixture? So 2NO2, a reversible reaction, gives O2 and nitrogen monoxide. Now if I increase the concentration of oxygen here, then NO2NO will work as a limiting reactant. It will continue to produce the same amount of NO2 here. It will continue to produce same amount of NO2 on the left hand side. Despite that, there are now many different there are many hundreds of moles of oxygen, suppose. So NO here will work as a limiting reactant, and it will suppress the amount of NO2 formed due to its lower amount. So which color change is seen in the mixture? Now from the concepts of simple reaction kinetics, if we increase the concentration, the rate of reaction is increased. Now the concentration increases here. The concentration increases here of the oxygen, and which color change is seen in the mixture? So more and more NO2 would be formed. So A is true. A is right. Now focus on my words now, which I'm saying now. Oxygen, only 1 mole of oxygen will react. But when there are many moles, the oxygen molecules will try to react as much as they can with nitrogen monoxide to give dark brown nitrogen dioxide. So the color change is still darker brown. Is still darker brown because O2 is present in excess. So A is our right option. Concentrated HCl is oxidized by MnO2. What are the two products of this reaction? So MnO2 is an oxidizing agent. Oxidizing agent means that uh, it's it has its own oxidation state. Its oxidation state false during the reaction. So Mn2 positive would be true, whereas in HCl, Cl is reducing agent. So chlorine 2 chlorine negative will lose electrons to form chlorine gas B, which is true and it is right. The table gives some info about four redox reactions. Which row gives correct info about what is oxidized and evidence that this is oxidation? So copper oxide reacts with copper to form carbon monoxide and copper. So what is oxidized in this reaction? Copper. Copper is not oxidized; it is reduced. So A is incorrect. In B, Na positive plus 1 to positive plus half chlorine to produce NaCl. To what is oxidized here? Sodium loses electron. Sodium loses electrons, so it is oxidized. Sodium has lost an electron. So B is oxidation. So N2 plus 3H2 to form 2NH3. Now what is oxidized in this reaction? Nitrogen. So is nitrogen nitrogen has now gained hydrogen, so it would be reduction here, so it is not oxidized. In similarly D is also incorrect because zinc zinc here moves from positive 2 to oxidation state of 0, so zinc is reduced. Zinc has gained 2 electrons, so zinc has reduced definitely. So B is our right option. Which statement about acids and bases is correct? All strong acids react with carbonates, but all weak acids do not. This is false. The oxides of group 1 metal are amphoteric. No. The pH of 1 mole decimeter cube of ethanoic acid CH3COOH is higher than the pH of 1 mole of decimeter cube of H2SO4. This is true, and C would be the right option. C would be right option of this MCQ. The pH of 1 mole per decimeter cube nitric acid HNO3 is lower than the pH of 1 mole per decimeter cube HCl. pH of 1 mole per decimeter cube nitric acid is higher than the pH of 1 mole per decimeter cube HCl. So C is our right option. Some types of chemical reactions are listed. So which type of reactions occur in a blast furnace during the extraction of iron? So acid-base reaction occurs when calcium oxide reacts with SiO2 to form calcium silicate slag. So acid-base reaction occurs when carbon reacts with oxygen to form carbon dioxide. So this is combustion. And when redox, and similarly in this carbon goes from oxidation state of 0 to positive 4. So this is also a redox reaction. So 1, 2, 3 all are correct. A is our right option. Which method should be used to make a pure sample of KCl? KCl is a soluble salt, and soluble salts are generally prepared by titration methods. All other methods are not much suitable for use. So titrating KOH with HCl, KOH with HCl to give KCl along with water would be the most appropriate option. All other are incorrect. Adding AgCl to KNO3, all other are false. I know this. A pure sample of lead sulfate is made by reacting aqueous solution of two salts. The lead sulfate formed is then separated from the mixture. Which solutions and method of separation are used? So by reacting aqueous solution of two salts, so I will have to take two salts which are soluble, two salts which are soluble. So lead chloride is not soluble in water. All nitrates are soluble. Similarly, all sulfates are soluble. and what will be the method of separation that the reaction would occur, and one insoluble salt would form as a precipitate. So I will use filtration to obtain it. So D would be the best choice. Which statement is correct? Food can be preserved using sulfur dioxide. This is true. In the contact process, oxygen reacts with sulfur to make trioxide. Oxygen reacts with SO2, not with sulfur in particular. So B is incorrect. Sulfur dioxide is used to kill bacteria present in wood pulp. No, it is not. It is used as a bleach. No, it is not. So A is our right option. So question number 30. Element Y is in the period 3 of the periodic table. It forms the chloride that is liquid at room temperature. Which row shows correct info about the group number and the nature of the oxide of the element Y? So first of all, it would not be from group 1 or group 2 because NaCl and MgCl2 both are solid. So they are incorrect. It would not from the transition elements as well. So transition elements, we can remove this from remove that also. Those transition elements would not form a chloride. First thing is this. Now it is a liquid at room temperature. Which row shows correct information about the group number and the nature of the oxide of element Y? So it could either be AlCl3, it could be SiCl2, or it could be SCl3. Now uh, all these three are acidic in nature, so already A and B are incorrect, and group 4, from group 4 is silicon. So nature of oxide is acidic, not amphoteric. From group 6 is sulfur SCl3, which is acidic. So that would be true. D is our right option. Which gases are used in light bulbs? So argon, oxygen and neon. Argon and neon are used in light bulbs. So C is our right option. The carbonates of metal W, X and Y are heated and the results are shown. So if we heat color of metal W, which is white, so gas given off which turns lime water cloudy, so that will be CO2, and color after heating is yellow when hot, white when cold. Similarly, green gives black color after heating, and the color of metal carbonate is green, so I think it would be copper carbonate. And after that, it would be left with copper oxide, which is black in color. Similarly, Y is white colored metal carbonate. It doesn't give CO2. Color after heating is no change. So these experiment results can be used to write statements about W and X and Y. The carbonates of W and X gave carbon dioxide on heating. Yes, they do give carbon dioxide on heating as they turn lime water cloudy. Metals X and Y are less reactive than metal W. No, they are more reactive. WX is less reactive. So metal W is less reactive. X could be copper. Yes, X could be copper. So 1 and 3 are true. That means C is our right option. The diagram shows an experiment to determine the percentage of oxygen in air. So this is the water lit candle, which utilizes oxygen, and this is the bell jar. So which diagram shows the correct levels of water after the candle stops burning? So after the candle stops burning, the amount of carbon dioxide in this place would be lower. So it would not be as shown in B. It would not remain same. Similarly, the amount of carbon dioxide will not increase as shown in A. It would decrease as shown in C and D. Now I know that percentage of oxygen is 21% here. So the change should also be something. So the change from this position, should something be like 21%. In D, we can see that this change here this change here is something like 50%, 50%, and this change here is 21%, approximately 20% you can ask. So C would be the right and the better option in my opinion. Two statements are given: the percentage of carbon by mass is greater in methane than in butane. No, it is lower in methane than in butane. Butane is one of the two isomers with a molecular formula C4H10. Yes, butane has two isomers. So only statement 2 is correct. That means C is our right option. 1 mole of each of the compounds shown is completely combusted. How many of the compounds need exactly 9 moles of oxygen for complete combustion? So first of all, I am taking things C5H12O. So I have to react it with 9 oxygens. So the equation should be balanced. So it will give me CO2 along with water. And if I put 5 here and I put 6 here, so there are 11 oxygens and 11 and 1 2 1 11 and 10, and on the right hand side I have 19. So 21 is not equal to 19. So A, I guess, so C5H12O is incorrect. C6H12 C6H12 to react with 9 moles of oxygen. So that will give me CO2 along with water, and CO2 formed here would be, so there are 6 and 12, 18 oxygen on the right hand side, and similarly 18 on the left hand side. So this is hexene, I guess, so it will utilize 9 moles of oxygen. This is hexane, so C6H14 to react with 9 moles of oxygen, it will give me 6 CO2, and I have H2O. I have to put 7 here. So 7 plus 12 is not equal to 18. So there are 19 on the right hand side and 18 on the left hand side. So hexane will also not utilize the same amount of carbon atoms. Whereas this C6H14O, C6H14O, I think this is true, will react with 9 oxygens, give me CO2 along with water. So there would be, I put 6 here and I put 7 here. So there would be 7 plus 12, 19 on the right hand side, and similarly 18 plus 1, 19 on the left hand side. So C6H14O will also utilize 9 moles of oxygen. So that means only two compounds need exactly 9 oxygen. So B is the right option. The reactants and products of two reactions are shown. So in reaction 1, C3H6, which is propene, reacts with water to form X, which is definitely propanol, and this propanol reacts with oxygen in combustion reaction to give CO2 and H2O. So condition required for reaction 1 is a heat and a catalyst, and reaction 2 is combustion. So D is the right option. Which statement about the carboxylic acids is correct? All carboxylic acids include a group COOH. Yes, they do. And this is the right option. Ethanoic acid reacts with both copper oxide and copper. No. Methanoic acid formed by bacterial oxidation is present in vinegar. No. Propanoic acid decolorizes acidified potassium manganate. I'm not sure about this one, but I know A is true for all carboxylic acid. The structure of an ester is shown. So there are 1 2 3 4. So this is the propene part, so this will come first, and this is the 1 2 3 and butene part, which will come later on. So what is the name of this ester? So propene, which has the carbon double bonded oxygen, will come always first, and butanoate will come later on. So C would be the right option. Polyethylene is formed by addition polymerization of ethene The formation of nylon and toluene are examples of condensation polymerization. Proteins contain the same amide linkage as nylon. Fats contain the same ester linkage as toluene. And on hydrolysis, protein forms amino acids. So A would be the right option. The repeat unit of a polymer is shown. Question number 40, last MCQ. So this is the repeat unit, and this is a addition polymer. So I remove these single bonds here, and I produce one carbon here. So it would be a double bonded carbon monomer. So which monomer would produce this polymer? So I can replace the position of CH3 on H on the y-axis, but I cannot replace them on the x-axis. So as shown in A, I replaced CH3 with H. So A is true. In B, he has displaced the positions of chlorine with hydrogen, which is incorrect. In C, he has changed the position of hydrogen with bromine, so this is also incorrect. D is also incorrect. Only A, which has only the CH3 move downward and H move upward, is true. A is our right option. So that's all for our today's video. So make sure to like and subscribe and press the bell icon for upcoming videos and past papers. Goodbye and good night. Allah Hafiz.